All right. So the number one lesson I learned, amazing question, was to just start. Just start. So here's what I believe. I
Yeah.
believe that College Concierge
Amen.
wasn't for me at that moment, but without College Concierge, I probably wouldn't be where I am today in the student speaking industry. So what I say to people and everyone listening is there are some of you all out there who have an idea, and it might be a bad idea, and you don't know it's a bad idea because you haven't started. But once you go out there, you start, you have that bad idea and you're able to flush it out, it could sometimes lead or will lead to whatever that next idea is. So
Yeah.
the first thing I want to say is like start. And I'm so glad I started because I was able to, like, some of the things that I talk about now is what I was going to talk about in those leadership workshops for those students. But if I would have
Yeah.
never done that, what I could have done was I could have went to corporate America, worked there for 3 to 4 more years, started College Concierge, and then it failed. And now I'm 3 years behind where I could have figured that out 3 years before that. So that was like my number one lesson. My number two lesson would be like failure is so good. Like failure is a part of the process and you want to fail along the way. Because again, like you always learn something from that. And the third thing I would say I took from that, if I had to pull one more thing out of that experience, was the value and the benefits to being young, not having any, I would say, real responsibilities, right? I didn't have any kids at the time. I wasn't married at that time. I didn't have any crazy like bills or anything. So I could jump out there and try those things. So for those of you who might be in that position, now is the time to start. Now is the time to do those things and try it out. Because as you get older and you have those responsibilities, you have those kids, married, all those things, it's a little bit harder, or it can be a little bit harder.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 1,000,000% with you on the same train of thought of like, you just got to start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like something someone once told me, and it's a philosophy I try to live my life by, and it's changed my life in one of the biggest ways, is that a shitty plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow because tomorrow doesn't exist.
Yes.
You know, so it's like asking yourself, okay, well, like if you have this idea, this thing that you want to start, what is your shitty plan right now? And how can you do it today? Because
get it going.
You know what I mean? If you wait for perfect, we all know perfect's never going to come.
Yes.
So like 100% you got to take it. And I think there's like kind of the way I've started to look at failure as well, because I agree, like failure is a stepping stone. And sometimes I think we get so paralyzed by failure, right? We're like, well, then am I a failure? Is, what are people going to think and all that?
Yeah.
And an interesting kind of way I look at it is it's like when you go to the gym, for an example, if you want to get fit, let's say hypothetically you need to do 100 dumbbell curls to get good muscles, right? To be like, have nice biceps. People are like, wow, that person looks strong. It's like, if you can imagine in your career, your business, whatever it is, okay, I need to do 100 reps to get quote unquote fit, to get successful. It's like every failure you have, just literally imagine yourself going, got a rep in, failed again, got a rep in, failed again, got a rep in. And then you're like, okay, well, I've only had 5 failures, 10 failures. I'm getting closer and closer to the 100, where that's when I get to the end destination.
And you will be okay. And you will be okay.
And you will be okay for real.
One of my favorite quotes is a quote by Steve Jobs, where to paraphrase it, he says, the dots always connect. I mean, we can't connect the dots looking forward. We can only connect the dots looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots, will somehow connect in your future. And that's how I look at failure as well. It's like there are people listening and those of us who are like going through things right now, things are happening in their lives. And you're like, oh, why is this happening? Why am I failing? And what I've learned 100% of the time is those dots always connect in the future. And you have to wait to get there to figure it out. But looking back, I can always say, you can probably say in your career, like meeting this person, doing this, I didn't know why that happened, but now I know that it was because of this. And that's how I got here today. So yes, hands down.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that I think is interesting when, like the thoughts of like talking about like connecting the dots in your past, like I think one thing that's so interesting is if you look back on your life and look at like every major decision you made, whether it was which path am I going to go, or like something happened to you in your life, an event you thought was going to be horrible. Like if you look back on those, 2 things happen. One, sometimes those painful things end up being one of the biggest blessings in your life. And the second thing is like, if you really look at every event that's happened in your past or decision you've made, truly every decision, every event really just gives you like a blessing, a lesson, a teaching, or something to prepare you for the next phase of your life. You know what I mean? And so the craziest part, I think, when it comes to like making decisions for our future and quote unquote connecting the dots forward, is it's like, well, if we look backwards and we know that every decision we made really just prepared us for the next thing,
Mm-hmm.
then the beautiful part is we can take this next step into our future without anxiety or stress, wondering, is it the right decision, the wrong decision? Because we know when we eventually can look back, we'll go, oh, that was just teaching me this, or that was giving me this skill, or that was connecting me with this person. You know what I mean? It's like, it almost allows us to step into our future with this like freeness of like, in a sense that you really can make no wrong decision.
And it's literally, I like how you said it's literally leading to the next right thing. And that's how you kind of have to think about it.
Yeah.
So whether it's a success or failure, no matter what it is, this is literally taking me down that path to whatever that next right thing is for me.
Yeah. So then, okay, so if we go back, we're sleeping on the couch, starting the business, one parent signs up, doesn't go the way we want, but we're like, hey, I learned a shit ton. So now you go into corporate America, and I'm curious for you, as you stepped into corporate America, what were some of the things you started to feel as you were, because I can hear it, feel it, and just know it from even researching you that like this entrepreneurship is in your blood. You know what I mean? You look at your story, it's written all over it. So I'm curious for you, like as you went into corporate, what did that feel like for you?
So I love people. I love being around people. I love talking with people. So I can say that all of my jobs that I went into, I enjoyed it in some way. So my first job was at Wells Fargo as a loan processor. I didn't necessarily like the job that much, but I enjoyed going because I enjoyed talking to people. I love my boss, right? I went to TIA CREF, was where I was talking to people every single day. More like I call it elevated phone call center, like a telephone center, because I had to get my financial licenses. But every day I was talking to people about their financial accounts, and I had so much fun with everybody around me, all my other teammates, like the people who call and the experiences that you had, like fun. And then I went into consulting for 2 years. And I would say that those are another 2 amazing years. But even though I was having fun, even though I was enjoying it, I was never fully fulfilled. So I knew throughout that process that I was trying to get back to entrepreneurship in some way and owning my own business in some way. But because I had that failure, right, and a lot of that stuff that happened with College Concierge, like I was putting stuff on credit cards. So during those 3 years, it was like paying down that debt, like getting furniture. Because when I moved into my first apartment, after I got my first job, I had a mattress, books, and my computer. Like 3 things that I had and clothes. No furniture, no nothing, right? So it was just kind of like getting myself back to that foundation where I can like have Maslow's hierarchy needs. I got everything I need. Now I can thrive from there. So I knew I wanted to get back to entrepreneurship in some way. And I can even remember this, dude. Like I remember having a mattress on my floor, books, all that stuff. And I was cleaning up my room at some point and I went to YouTube. And I think that's where one of the first ways I discovered Tony Robbins and started listening to Massive Action and like all those things. Going to Amazon at that time and buying it's like Blue. I think it's Unleash the Power Within CD series. I used to actually listen to that while I was loan processing at Wells Fargo.
I love that.
So while I was working in corporate, I was like, okay, I was reading all these books, getting all this information. And a lot of the books I was reading was saying that in order to be successful, you needed to have either a mentor or a coach. I didn't have either. So what I did was I went to Google and I typed in life coaches in Charlotte. And this lady popped up. And I remember a quick story. I'm telling you because we're cool now. I remember like talking to her on the phone, right? And I was like, how much are you an hour? And she was like, it's about $150 an hour. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And then she was like, well, I do. No, I asked, I said, do you have like, if I buy multiple hours, can I get like a discount? And she was like, no. And I was like, oh, in my head, I was like, I respect that. And she said, I have another coach below me who I'm like training. You can do her for like $50 an hour. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So she started looking at the lady's schedule and I was like, you know what? I'll take you. And I met with her at a Panera, and while meeting with her, she was like, Darryl, what are you interested in? What are you interested in? I was like, I might want to speak to students, might want to get into real estate, might want to do all these top things that were going through my mind. Yeah. And later on in the conversation, she goes, Darryl, your face lit up when you said something about speaking to students. Tell me more about that. And then she introduced me to the National Speakers Association, which is where, where all the cool speakers hang out. Yeah. And then it was at that meeting that I got that meeting literally that Friday. They only have a meeting once a quarter. I went to that meeting that Friday based on talking to her. I was the youngest person in the room at the time. And I was a few people of color at the time. And I was like, damn, like there's an opportunity for me here to spread my message around the country. That's the first time I realized that you can kind of speak professionally. And it was at that meeting that I decided that I wanted to quit my job within a year to speak full time. So that was one of those, I would say, pivotal moments for me as well. Yeah. All based on probably reading and like hearing people say like, you need somebody to guide you. And at that point, not having anything within myself to figure out what that thing was, I was like, all right, let's look for somebody else who can help me and guide me during that way. And I still use that advice till this day. Find somebody who can help me.